Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion, and it is another late night. The break that we had on Sunday, I'm trying to remember what day it is. Where am I? What's going on? The break that we had on Sunday with just one game, we were back at it on Monday with three games, and not just games, amazing matches. If you didn't watch them, I'm here to tell you about them. And we're here to take a look not just at Tuesday's games, but looking ahead to the rest of this so far pretty amazing round of 32. Let's begin, though, as we always begin, by recognizing, realizing, celebrating, and affirming that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more. Yeah. And this World Cup so far, y'all, is very extra. And one of the most amazing statistics is the number of goals that have been scored in extra time. Now, if you're not familiar with that concept, and again, I'm designing this podcast to be a place where newbies, newcomers, neophytes, if you will, to this wonderful world of world football, I want to break some things down. So you may have figured this out already, but in football, world football, the clock doesn't stop ever. And the clock counts up, right? So after you hit 45 minutes in the first half, there is that time that is added on for stoppage time. Now, you also might have noticed, and again, if this is the only World Cup or World Soccer you've watched, this is what you're getting to know. But it's not the way it's always been. And I'm talking about hydration breaks, which is essentially, not essentially, it is dividing the halves into quarters. Now, a great mystery is why don't they stop the clock during the hydration breaks? Because that would make sense, right? They're off the field, the play is not going, let's stop the clock. But no, 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 no. Soccer can't do that. Clock can't stop, right? It's one of the cardinal rules, if you will, right? So every half has at least 3 minutes ish, or 4 minutes maybe, added on for that hydration break, right? And then if there's any other times during the half that the play has stopped, remember the clock doesn't stop, but the play has stopped, that gets added on. So what we have seen in this World Cup is a great amount, not huge amounts. I think the most of stoppage time I've seen is maybe 8 minutes. I mean, we're not into double digits. Like the last World Cup in Qatar, 3.5 years ago, that was played at Thanksgiving slash Christmas time 4 years ago. Uh, but what we were seeing there was like 10 minutes of stoppage time. We're not seeing that. At least I haven't seen that in the many, many games that I have watched. But there is more stoppage time, and there are more goals being scored in that extended time, which is, pretty exciting. Also a little controversial because no one really knows when the game is going to stop. I mean, the ref has that power, and we're seeing some bangers at the very end of the game. So let's talk a little bit about what we saw today. The first match, Brazil and Japan. Man, Japan went up first. I got to watch that first half, even though I was working. I was leading a training session, and I normally would have had lunch around 12, but I pushed it to 1 o'clock because I was the trainer. I can do that. So we had 1 o'clock, and guess how long we had for lunch? 45 minutes. So got to see the whole first half and got to see Japan score to go up, to be ahead of the mighty Brazil. And it was kind of a skin of the teeth with Brazil. Brazil did equalize, and then in stoppage time, or maybe it was at the very end, I think it was the very end of regulation, but Brazil overcame Japan, put one in, and advanced to the next round, which, again, to be fair, Brazil is a top team. They haven't looked great in this tournament, but Japan is an up-and-comer, a dark horse, and sometimes the favorite, sometimes the one that's been there many times before, Brazil, is going to persevere. And they did today. Then there was the second game. Nobody expected that to be the game that it was. And that was Paraguay and Germany. Now, you may remember that the US beat Paraguay in our opening game 4-1. And after that, Paraguay never really got their feet. I mean, they beat Turkey, which we did not, of course, but they tied Australia. And I don't think anybody really thought that they could knock off the Germans. And the Germans just were looking good earlier, but never great. I mean, they really have been a soccer power that is in a long kind of sundowning, right? We've seen that already. Italy did not make this World Cup. They haven't made a cup in a while. They are very much of a has-been European power. And it looks like Germany is going that direction too. Probably followed by Belgium and some others, right? Maybe Portugal as well. But Paraguay kept it close. They brought it into the extra time, the extended time, the 30 minutes that is the extended time, 2 15-minute halves, right? And then they took it to the penalty shootout. And I got to watch that one live, and it was amazing because the momentum switched back and forth and back and forth. And eventually, Paraguay held on and Paraguay won. So Germany's going home, Paraguay's going to the next round. And then there was the game that everyone was looking at, and probably one of the most significant games in this round of 32, because you had two top 10 teams going at each other. And both of them had looked pretty good, so in their early part of their group stage. And they went at it. One of the things, if you watch the game, and I was glued to it, y'all, is, and I think this was really quite something, is they played hard and physical, but it was very clean, right? There were actually very few there's only one yellow card. And one could say, well, the ref was just, not really throwing down cards. But this is the same ref who ref the very first Mexico game against South Africa at the very beginning of the tournament. And he threw out 3 red cards, ejections in that particular game, because that game was sloppy. That game was not professional in the intensity, the aggression, right? But this game was. And again, it was amazing. Very defensive for the Dutch, amazing saves by the Dutch goalkeeper. The Dutch went ahead, and really it looked like they were going to be the one controlling the game going into the end of the game. Looks like they had won it. And then lo and behold, in stoppage time, it's been a long day, y'all. Morocco equalized and took it through the extra 30 minutes. Morocco had numerous chances to score in that extra 30 minutes, came down to PKs, and Morocco prevailed, which is really amazing when you think about what happened just today. You had 2 European powers. Now, the Dutch have never won a World Cup. They've always really been kind of underperformers in the World Cup. Germany has won multiple World Cups. I think actually the second most behind Brazil. Both of those 2 powers were knocked off today. And it really seems like other parts of the world, especially Africa, are in the rise. And we'll see, so far, African teams advancing. Remember, 9 made it to this round, 9 out of 10. And so far, it's 1-1. So South Africa got knocked out, but Morocco is prevailing. So we'll see how it goes through the rest of this stage. But looking ahead at this stage, tomorrow we have an African team starting off. It's Ivory Coast versus Norway. I'd love to see Ivory Coast win, but I want to see Norway go forward. Now that the Dutch fans are gone, now that the Scottish fans are gone, we need those Norwegians. And I think Norway probably will have the upper hand in that game tomorrow, which is in Dallas, Texas. And that's at 1:00. The 5:00 game is France and Sweden. France should prevail. Sweden has had a very inconsistent. They got crushed in a game, and then they were the crushers in the next game. And that is in New York, New Jersey. I think we're going to see France win that game. And then the nightcap, the 9 p.m. game, is Mexico and Ecuador. And that is going to be a banger. That's played in Mexico City, Stadia Azteca, the big stadium there in Mexico City that has hosted now 3 World Cups. Only country in the world, Mexico, that has hosted the World Cup 3 times now, or co-hosted this time, of course. But that game against Ecuador is going to be good. I think Mexico will prevail, but I think there's going to be a pretty good fight there because Ecuador is a quality team. And most significantly, Mexico City is at elevation, and there is elevation in Ecuador too. Quito, the capital, is at elevation. So this is a team that is familiar with that. Let's just look ahead one more day. And actually, let's not do that yet because we want to do that tomorrow. And Wednesday is the day we are looking for. The ads are running. The hype is there. That is the USMNT. Actually, let's spend just a couple more minutes here and talk about the 2 other games that are on Wednesday so that tomorrow we can talk all about the US game. So first of all, on Wednesday, at 12 p.m., we have England against Dr. Congo, DR Congo. That's going to be interesting because Congo kind of slipped in. England has not looked great, and they've struggled, especially against Ghana, right? That game was a real snoozer. So I could see England struggling here, and they might be another European power that gets knocked off. Then we have Belgium and Senegal. Again, Senegal has also struggled, but they are a quality team. Belgium has not looked great, so I'm going to go for Senegal. And remember, y'all, the winner of that Belgium-Senegal game is if the U.S. advances, beats Bosnia and Herzegovina, the winner of Belgium-Senegal is who the U.S. will play. And just don't want to look too far ahead, but we got to set our calendars up. The next game, the round of 16, is going to be on Monday the 6th at 8 o'clock Eastern. But 8 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday, far, far more important. All right, I'll put up the bracket for games tomorrow. I'll put that up into the image. Again, y'all, I hope that you are enjoying this special coverage. Once the World Cup ends, and even probably as we start to slow down, games get a little further apart, I'll go back to my writing. I'll go back to the spirituality. But I hope you know and are finding that the connection and the joy and the emotion and the passion is a spiritual thing. I'm not going to say it can be a spiritual thing because it is a spiritual thing. And I hope you're feeling that. I hope you have a sense that what we are seeing and experiencing right here and right now in the United States is something very special. And it is something that is changing us and helping us as we go beyond and look beyond what it lies ahead during this calendar year. I'm talking about the midterms, right? All right, y'all, let's go ahead and end. I need to get to bed. And blessing and good, be bold, be well, hold fast, y'all.